The sun was rising, tinting the sky with a soft orange, and I found myself in the field that my father had cultivated his entire life. The smell of the earth, damp from the morning dew, enveloped me, and the birds' songs were like a symphony echoing in my mind. My fingers were dirty, but that dirt represented my hard work, the dedication I had for that place. Even so, amidst this simple beauty, a desire burned within me, like a flame that would not extinguish. I wanted to see the world. "Wei, are you daydreaming again?" May's sweet voice pulled my attention away from the view. I turned around and saw her approaching, her light dress gently swaying in the wind. Her smile was like a ray of sunshine that lit up even the cloudiest days. "Maybe," I replied, laughing. "I was just thinking about what it would be like to live in a big city with bright lights and different people. I could learn so much, May." May came closer, leaning against the wooden fence that separated the field from the forest. "You've always dreamed of that way. But what if the real adventure is right here in the village? You know you have an incredible talent for farming." "Talent doesn't pay my bills," I retorted, half joking but with a hint of seriousness in my voice. "I want more than this. I want to explore. I want to see what life can offer me beyond crops and the scorching sun." She looked at me with her deep eyes as if trying to read my soul. "And what if you find something that you can't buy or bring back? Sometimes happiness is in the little things, Wei. You don't need to go far to find it." "But what if I'm not happy here?" I knew I was being stubborn, but I needed to express how I felt. I want to discover who I am, what I can be. Sometimes I feel like a leaf in the wind, being carried aimlessly. May sighed, as if her words were getting lost among my dreams. "If you really feel that way, maybe you should pursue what you desire. But don't forget who you are. I will be here, always." Those words echoed in my mind as we continued talking about our dreams and hopes. May always had a way of making me see things in a new light. But the truth was that my heart was beating for change, for adventures beyond what I knew. Later, I decided I needed some time alone to reflect. I walked toward the forest that bordered the village. Nature was a refuge for me, a place where I could think without interruption. As I walked, the smell of dry leaves and damp wood filled the air. It was as if the forest had its own breath, a rhythm I learned to follow. It was then, while I ventured deeper, that I came across something that took my breath away. On the ground, among the roots of an ancient tree, there was a bay leaf, but it wasn't an ordinary leaf. It shone with a golden light, as if it had captured the essence of the sun. My heart raced. I knew that this leaf was not just a curiosity of the forest. Who dares to touch the leaf of wishes? A soft, almost ethereal voice echoed around me. There was no one there, but the voice seemed to come from all directions. "Who is there?" I asked, trying to remain calm, but my voice trembled with curiosity and fear. "I am the guardian of wishes. This leaf has the power to fulfill all your desires. But remember, every wish has its consequences." I swallowed hard, the fire of ambition burning in my chest. I wish to see the world. I want to leave here and discover new lands, new cultures. I want to be more than just a simple farmer. "Your wish has been heard. Take the leaf and do as you wish," the voice whispered before dissipating, like an echo lost in the wind. I stood frozen for a moment. The weight of that leaf in my hands felt greater than I could imagine. Carefully, I placed the leaf in my pocket and began to walk back home, my heart pounding in my chest. What I had just found could be the key to all my aspirations. But even so, a shadow of doubt began to form in my mind. I had the feeling that I was about to embark on a path from which I could not turn back. When I got home, night had already fallen. The moonlight shone brightly, and I could not contain my excitement. The desire to do something grand consumed me. I looked at the bay leaf, which now shimmered in the silver light, and with a mix of anxiety and anticipation, I decided it was time to make my first wish. I wish for an abundant harvest, I murmured, my voice barely a whisper. May this field flourish like never before. As soon as the words left my lips, a gentle breeze swept through the area, and the bay leaf seemed to shine even brighter. I felt light, as if a weight had been lifted from my shoulders. I could hardly sleep that night, my head buzzing with the possibility that come morning, everything would have changed. When the sun rose, I could hardly contain my anticipation. I ran to the field, and the scene that unfolded before me was breathtaking. My field, which had once been barren land, was now filled with vibrant flowers and luscious fruits. Each plant seemed to have grown under the light of a special sun, brighter and warmer than ever before. "I can't believe it," I exclaimed, running my hands over the leaves and flowers, a wide smile spreading across my face. It was as if I had stepped into a dream. The sweet aroma of the fruits enveloped me, and the sight of that blooming field was more than I could have imagined. "Way!" May appeared at the entrance of the field, her eyes wide with astonishment at the transformation. "What happened here?" "It's incredible, May. Look at this. It's all because of the bay leaf I found." I could hardly contain my joy. I wished for an abundant harvest, and look at this. She approached, admiring the beauty of the field. "This is wonderful, but you're not sure this is safe, are you? Magical leaves can come at a price." Price? My excitement was so high that her words didn't hit me. "I finally have what I've always wanted. Now I can leave the village. I can explore the world." May looked at me, a mix of admiration and concern in her gaze. "Just be careful, Wei. Sometimes what seems like a blessing can turn into a curse." But I was far from hearing her warning words. My heart was filled with hope and ambition. With the bay leaf in my pocket and a new world before me, I was ready to embrace whatever the future held. The bay leaf I found in the forest seemed to shine more brightly with each passing day. Now, with the fame of being the lucky farmer of the village, I felt a mix of pleasure and unease. What had once been distant dreams was now becoming reality before my eyes. But there was something that troubled me. With the abundant harvest and the village's attention on me, a desire began to blossom in my heart, to win May's love. One morning, as the sun rose in the blue sky, I decided it was time to use the leaf again. The air was fresh, and the scent of freshly picked flowers filled the atmosphere. I walked to the field, where the bay leaf rested in a small wooden box I had made. With the leaf in hand, I closed my eyes and made my wish. "May May fall in love with me," I whispered, my voice almost an echo of my racing heart. As soon as I uttered the words, a gentle breeze passed by me, as if nature itself had agreed with my request. I opened my eyes and felt a wave of hope. Now, everything seemed possible. In the following days, something truly happened. May began to look at me differently. Our encounters in the village became more frequent, and she smiled at me with a glow that seemed new. "Wei, you seem so happy lately." "What happened?" she asked, her eyes shining like stars. Well, I'm just happy about the harvest. The village is thriving, and I feel like everything is falling into place," I replied, trying to hide the truth that pulsed within me. But deep down, I knew the leaf had influenced all of this. As time went on, however, I realized that something wasn't right. May seemed more interested in my fame than in me. She talked about how everyone in the village admired her for being by my side, as if I were a trophy, not a person. On one of those days, while we walked through the blooming fields, she commented, "Wei, don't you think we should organize a party? Everyone is talking about you. This could be an incredible opportunity for both of us." "A party?" I asked, confused. "You mean to celebrate my harvest?" "Yes, and to show everyone how united we are," she replied, with a sparkle in her eyes that made me feel a lump in my throat. It was as if what I truly desired, her love, was turning into a game of appearances. With each passing day, doubt grew in my heart. I wanted May to love me for who I really was, not for the fame that my harvest had brought me. With this in mind, I decided I needed help. I remembered Lee, the clever traveler who always had a word of wisdom. He knew the stories of magic and could help me understand better what was happening. That afternoon, I found Lee sitting in the shade of a tree, watching the clouds go by. "Wei, what brings you here looking so worried?" he asked, looking up and smiling. "Lee, I'm in trouble. I used the bay leaf to win May over, but now it seems she's only interested in my fame. I don't know what to do anymore," I confessed, my chest tight with anguish. Lee frowned and began to shake his head slowly. "Ah, my friend, wishes often come with consequences we don't foresee. What you desire may not be what you truly need. But I just want her to love me. Not because of my harvest, but for who I am," I exclaimed, frustration seeping into my voice. "Sometimes, Wei, true love cannot be forced. It must be free. You cannot control her feelings with magic. A true connection comes from sincerity and mutual understanding," Lee replied, his voice calm and measured. "And what if she never truly loves me?" I asked, despair wrapping around my heart. "Then perhaps you should reflect on what love means to you. Is it better to be loved for who you are or admired for something you possess?" Lee questioned, and his words resonated in my mind like a bell tolling in the silence. In that moment, I understood that there was something deeper at play. May deserved a genuine love, a love that didn't depend on magical wishes. The bay leaf could not guarantee true happiness. I needed to show her who I really was, without the trappings of fame. Saying goodbye to Lee, I returned home, my heart filled with determination. I didn't want to use the leaf to shape reality anymore. I needed to work on myself, and who knows, maybe that would make May see the essence of who I truly am. The idea of organizing a party sounded like a distraction, but I couldn't hide behind a celebration. That night, I decided that instead of making more wishes, I would open up to May. The next day, while we walked together through the fields, I took a deep breath and said, "May, I wanted to talk to you about something important." She looked at me curiously. "Of course, Wei. What is it?" "I have been using the bay leaf to make wishes, to win you over. But I'm starting to realize that this isn't what I truly want. I want you to truly know me without magic," I declared, feeling the weight of my words. She hesitated for a moment as if processing each syllable. "Wei, I didn't know you felt that way. I really admire you, but I confess I also got carried away by the fame. I don't want to be just the famous farmer. I want you to see who I am, without the desires I shaped for us," I replied, my heart racing. May smiled, but there was a sadness in her eyes. "Thank you for being honest, Wei. Let's discover what we really feel, without rush, without magic." In that moment, a small ray of hope lit up my heart. The true journey was just beginning, and I was determined to find out if the love I longed for could blossom authentically. I woke up that morning in a place that felt like a dream, surrounded by polished stone walls and a beautifully kept garden. I looked around and couldn't help but feel amazed, but also somewhat lost. The house was magnificent, filled with luxurious furniture and adornments I never thought I would see in my simple life in the village. However, a feeling of emptiness began to settle in my chest. What had I really wished for by wanting to be the richest in the village? What did I expect to achieve? As I got out of bed, the sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating every corner of that opulent space. The smell of fresh tea lingered in the air, and as soon as I set my bare feet on the floor, a maid entered the room. She smiled broadly, as if she was about to serve me the most luxurious breakfast I could imagine. "Good morning, Sir Wei. What would you like to eat today?" she asked while setting the table. I looked at her, somewhat confused. "A simple rice and a bit of tea will be enough," I replied. trying to return to the simplicity I had always valued. She hesitated, as if expecting me to order something more extravagant. "But sir, we have exotic fruits, fine breads, and even delicacies from other regions. No, thank you very much." I appreciated it, but her expression shifted to one of discontent. From that moment on, I realized that even the simplest things were becoming complicated. Wealth brought not only comfort, but also expectations and obligations. After breakfast, I went to the garden. It was magnificent, with flowers of all colors and fruit trees I had never seen before. But as I admired the details, a feeling of loneliness took over me. Where were May and Lee? They were the true treasures of my life. I missed the simple conversations we had, the laughter we shared, the dreams we nurtured together. Wealth seemed to have built a barrier between us. The next day, I was invited to a party at one of the nobles' houses in the village. The excitement and expectation were palpable, but as I prepared, anxiety consumed me. What was I really hoping to find there? Friendship, recognition, or just the chance to flaunt my new position? I didn't want to become someone who boasted about their possessions. When I arrived at the party, I was greeted with smiles and greetings. Everyone was amazed by my new house and my wealth. The music played, and soon I was surrounded by people who seemed more interested in my fortune than in me. I tried to start a genuine conversation, but the words felt empty and the gazes were superficial. "Congratulations, Wei. You really outdid yourself. I never thought I'd see you so prosperous one day," one of the guests exclaimed, raising his glass in my direction. "Thank you, but I really don't know if this is all I expected," I replied, trying to hide the frustration in my voice. As the party continued, I saw May enter the room. My heart raced, filled with hope. She looked so beautiful, with a smile that lit up the space. I rushed toward her, but realized she was surrounded by other men, admirers of my newfound fortune. "Hi, Wei," she greeted me, but there was a hesitation in her voice. "Congratulations on your new life. It's incredible here. May, I would like to talk to you alone," I said, trying to pull her away from the group. She hesitated, looking at the others. "Not now, Wei. Can we talk later?" And with that, she returned to laughing and flirting with the others. My heart sank. It was as if a wall had risen between us, a barrier I had built myself by desiring wealth. However, I didn't give up. My mind was confused, but an idea began to form. If I could use the laurel leaf again, maybe I could find a way to regain the connection I had lost. I wished that May would always be by my side, regardless of the circumstances. As soon as I made the wish, a chill ran down my spine, but I was determined. The leaf had worked before, and I wouldn't let loneliness take over me. The next morning, I woke up with a different feeling. The sun shone brighter, and a vibrant energy seemed to fill the air. I went to the garden, eagerly awaiting May's arrival, and to my surprise, she appeared shortly after. "Hi, Wei, I came to see you," she said, her radiant smile lighting up my world. "May, I'm so happy you're here," I replied, trying to hide the anxiety in my voice. "Would you mind spending some time with me?" "Of course. What would you like to do?" She seemed genuinely excited, and that gave me hope. "How about we take a walk in the fields?" "I miss the simplicity of before," I suggested. "I would love to," she replied, and together we walked through the fields, talking and laughing like we used to. The sun shone, and the gentle breeze enveloped us, bringing a freshness that seemed to heal the wounds that wealth had caused. However, as the conversation progressed, I sensed that something was changing. May seemed increasingly hesitant, and I couldn't understand why. "Wei, I'm happy for you, but there's something I need to tell you," she began, her expression turning serious. "What is it, May?" "You can tell me. I'm your friend. I'll always be here for you," I replied, concerned. "It's just that I feel like people are more interested in you because of your wealth than for who you really are." "I don't want that to change our friendship," she said, her gaze sad. Her words hit me like a blow to the heart. I didn't want her to feel this way, but at the same time, I knew I had created this situation. May, I don't want you to distance yourself from me. I wish you were by my side, but maybe I used the wrong path to achieve that. Her expression softened, but the sadness was still present. I just want you to be yourself, Wei, and don't let wealth define who you are. As we walked through the field, I felt the weight of her words. It was true. Wealth didn't bring happiness, and I had lost my essence. May was right, and with every step we took, the realization of this fact became clearer. The laurel leaf, which seemed like a path to my desires, was now just a symbol of what I had lost. True wealth lay in relationships, in friendship, and in the simplicity of life. The conversation continued, and although there was a shadow over us, there was also a light. I realized I needed to change, that I needed to find a way to regain what truly mattered in life. Deep down in my heart, I knew the laurel leaf was not the answer. The sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the village when May reappeared in my life. The image of her, with her light cotton dress swaying in the wind, made my heart race. However, seeing her approach, a strange feeling settled in my chest. I wanted her by my side, but now, seeing her, I realized that desire had become a burden. "Hi, Wei," she said, forcing a smile. "How are you?" "Hi, May," I replied, trying to hide the confusion that consumed me. "I'm... well, and you?" She hesitated, as if she were choosing her words carefully. "I've been fine, but it's strange to be here. I feel like I'm trapped in a way." Her words were like a bucket of cold water. Trapped? What had I done? The desire to have her by my side was not meant to bind us together? "But you're here because you wanted to be, right?" I asked, trying to understand. I don't know," May replied, looking at the ground. "When you made the wish, it felt so right. But now, I feel like everything is about what you want, and I feel suffocated." A knot formed in my throat. I had wished for her to always be by my side, but I hadn't considered the implications of that. What I had thought was love was now revealing itself to be a prison for her. "May, I didn't want you to feel this way. I just wanted you to be with me. I know, Wei, but what you want isn't always what I want. There has to be a balance." Her words echoed in my mind as she walked away, leaving a void in my heart. The truth was slowly revealing itself. My desires, which initially seemed to be the key to happiness, were becoming chains that bound those I loved most. How could I have been so selfish? The next day, as I reflected on all of this, Lee appeared at my door, his perceptive gaze penetrating my internal confusion. "Wei, you look desolate." "What happened?" I sighed, sitting on the earthen floor. "Lee, I made a wish that I didn't think through. I wanted May by my side, but now she feels trapped by me." Lee sat down next to me, his expression serious. "You're learning an important lesson. Wishes may seem simple, but their consequences are complex. What do you really desire, Wei?" I don't know. I just wanted to be happy and have May with me. But now, it feels like my wish has become a burden for her. It's time for you to think about what truly brings happiness. Sometimes, what we desire isn't what we need. You need to reflect on your life and what makes it meaningful. Lee's words resonated in my mind as he said goodbye. I needed some time to think. I sat under an ancient tree, its thick trunk providing me with shade and comfort. I closed my eyes and let the memories of my simple life in the village wash over me. May's laughter, the smell of wet earth after the rain, the nights under the stars. I now realized that these moments were more valuable than any wealth or fame. What did I really desire? What made me happy? The answers began to form in my mind, but I needed clarity. The desire for more and more had pulled me away from the true essence of life. Simplicity and connection with those we love were what truly mattered. After a while, I decided I needed to speak with May again. I went to her house, my heart pounding in my chest. When I saw her, she was tending to some herbs on the porch. "May," I called, my voice trembling a bit. She turned, surprise on her face. "Wei, you came." "We need to talk," I said, approaching slowly. "About us, about what I wished for." She nodded, her expression shifting from surprise to slight concern. "I would like to understand how you feel. I thought I wanted you to always be by my side, but now I realize that this isn't fair to you. I feel like I have become selfish. What I desire most now is for you to be happy, even if that means you aren't with me." Tears glistened in May's eyes. "Where you don't need to feel guilty. I also let your actions affect me. But I now understand that true happiness does not come from fulfilled desires, but from freedom and mutual respect. And what if instead of desires, we sought to understand what we really want? What truly makes us happy?" I asked, a new understanding forming within me. "That would be a start," she replied, the sadness in her eyes giving way to a new hope. "Perhaps we can discover this together without hurry. I don't want you to feel tied to me, and I don't want to feel tied to you." We smiled at each other, and in that moment, a new connection formed between us. I didn't know where this would lead us, but I was willing to explore. It was a different path, one that didn't depend on magical desires, but on the genuine understanding of our hearts. After our conversation, I felt that a new light had emerged in my life. The laurel leaf, which once seemed the symbol of all my desires, was now just an object, a reminder that what really mattered was simplicity and authenticity. That night, as I looked at the stars, I realized they shone in a different way. I didn't need wishes to achieve happiness. The true magic lay in living life simply, in seeking what is true and meaningful. So I decided that I wanted to follow this path. No more desires, but a journey of discovery. This would give me the freedom I so longed for, not just for myself, but also for May. And perhaps at the end of this journey, we would find the happiness we had always sought. But this time, with our feet firmly on the ground and our hearts open. The gentle morning breeze caressed my face as I walked through the field, now stripped of any trace of wealth. The decision to part with the laurel leaf still echoed in my mind. What once seemed an object of power and desire had now become a burden I was more than willing to leave behind. I had learned the hard way that happiness was not found in material possessions, but in the simplicity of a life lived with purpose and love. May was by my side, and the sunlight reflected in her eyes, as if each ray was a promise of new beginnings. The relationship we were building based on friendship and mutual respect was something I had never experienced before. "Wei," she called, her soft voice breaking the silence of the field. "Do you feel good about your decision to leave the leaf behind?" "Yes," I replied, looking at the horizon where the sky met the earth. "The leaf gave me many wishes, but what I really want now is to live here, with you and with others. I want to learn to be a better person." May smiled, and her smile warmed my heart. "Then let's start helping the people in the village. There are many who need care and love. We can make a difference together." I agreed, and together we decided to seek out the sick and needy in the village. When we arrived at the first house, an elderly woman welcomed us with sad eyes. Hearing her account of the pain she felt in her joints, May immediately set to work, using her herbs and healing knowledge. I, on the other hand, watched with admiration. "You have an incredible gift, May," I said, as she prepared an infusion. "It's as if your hands have the ability to touch people's souls." "It's not me, Wei," she replied as she mixed the herbs. "It's nature that offers us these healings. I'm just a channel for that energy to flow. We all have something to offer. We just have to be willing to help. Those words resonated deeply within me. It was true. The true happiness I sought was in serving others, in being present for those in need. As May worked, I began to help the woman organize her house, cleaning the floor and tidying up some objects that were scattered around. Seeing the smile of gratitude on the woman's face, I realized that even in small acts, there was great satisfaction. "You have a positive energy, young man," she said, looking at me with eyes full of hope. "It's good to see that there are still people willing to help." Hearing that, a wave of joy washed over me. I didn't need wealth or fame. What really mattered was the human connection, the ability to make a difference in someone's life, even if just for a few moments. Throughout the day, we continued our mission, visiting other houses and offering our support. With each smile, with each thank you, my heart filled more and more. May and I were building something much greater than ourselves. We were creating a network of love and compassion. Later, as night fell, we found a quiet place by the river. The stars began to appear in the sky like little lanterns illuminating our journey. "You know, May began as we sat on the grass. "I've also been thinking a lot about what I really desire in life." "And what did you discover?" I asked, curious. "I want to find a greater purpose. Something that makes me feel like I'm contributing to the world in a meaningful way. Sometimes I feel like I'm just passing through life, as if something is missing." "Maybe we should search for that wisdom together," I suggested. "Life is full of lessons, and I feel there is much to learn. We can seek a master, someone who can guide us on this path." May turned her face to me, and her eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "Do you think we can find someone like that? A master who can teach us about true happiness and purpose?" "I don't know," I admitted, "but I'm willing to try. Together we can explore and discover what really matters." The idea of seeking knowledge and wisdom together excited me. It was a new desire, but one that was not linked to power or wealth. It was a quest for truth, for the essence of life. "Then, let's do this," May agreed, with a smile that lit up her face. "Let's seek what it truly means to live fully." That night, as the stars shone brightly above us, we made a silent pact. We decided that, regardless of what we found, our goal would always be to help others and seek a true understanding of ourselves and the world around us. The following days were filled with preparations. We talked to the villagers, listened to their stories, and gathered information about wise men and masters who could help us on our journey. Each account we heard fueled our desire to learn more. The village was full of knowledge, and it was our mission to absorb all of it. Finally, after many days of searching, we found mentions of an old monk who lived in the mountains. They said he had deep wisdom and could teach about life and the true purpose of existence. Our excitement grew, and we decided it was time to set out in his direction. As we prepared for the journey, May looked at me with determination. "Regardless of what we find, we must remember that true happiness may already be within us. What we are about to learn may only be a confirmation of what we already know deep in our hearts." "You are right," I agreed. "And most importantly, we will be together on this journey. That is already a big step in the right direction." That conversation made me feel more confident. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew I was on a journey with someone who shared my values and dreams. And with that, my heart filled with hope, ready for what would come next. We walked side by side along the narrow trail that wound through the forest, surrounded by tall trees whose leaves danced gently in the wind. The air was thick with the fragrance of wildflowers blooming among the exposed roots, and the sound of singing birds echoed around us, creating a natural symphony that calmed our hearts. May walked ahead of me, her black hair shining in the sunlight filtering through the treetops. I watched her, thinking about the journey we had decided to take together in search of a wise master. "Do you believe we will find someone who can truly help us?" I asked, concern tinting my voice. May stopped and turned to me, her eyes shining with determination. "Of course, Wei, wisdom is not something found only in books or in this village. It must be sought after, and if we are together, we have nothing to fear." She smiled, and the joy radiating from her made me feel a little lighter. We continued walking, and after a few minutes we spotted a small clearing illuminated by the sun. In the center, an old monk sat in a lotus position, surrounded by an aura of peace and serenity. His wrinkled skin spoke of a long life full of experiences, and his eyes, like two emeralds, seemed to see beyond the physical. A shiver ran down my spine as I sensed the depth of his presence. "To what do I owe the honor of the visit from two young seekers?" the monk asked, his voice soft like a whisper of the wind. "We are in search of wisdom," I replied, feeling the need to explain myself. "We want to learn about life, about how to live in a true and meaningful way." He nodded slowly, a look of understanding on his face. "True wisdom is not found in words, but in actions. Come, sit with me and share your stories." We settled around him, and soon we began to share our experiences. Mi spoke about her journey as a healer and how, despite helping many, she still felt a void in her heart. I, on the other hand, shared my adventures with the bay leaf and how each fulfilled desire seemed to bring more confusion than happiness. "What you seek is detachment," the monk said, his voice echoing in the clearing. "Clinging to material desires and external expectations only brings suffering. What truly matters is what is within you." His words pierced me like an arrow. I had allowed myself to be swept away by the relentless search for desires, not realizing that true happiness was already within my reach. The living room of my house with May, the laughter amid challenges, all of it was more valuable than any wealth or fame. "How can we detach?" I asked, eager for more answers. "Detachment is a practice," the monk explained. "You must learn to observe your desires without letting them control you. Ask yourselves, does what I desire truly bring me happiness, or is it just an illusion?" As we listened to his words, I realized there was a deep truth in the simplicity of his message. The monk continued to teach us about compassion and the importance of looking out for others. True fulfillment comes from connecting with others, from the ability to love and serve. When you share, you discover that life is richer and more meaningful. We stayed with him for hours, absorbing each lesson. The sun began to set, painting the sky orange and pink, and I felt something within me changing. The bay leaf that once seemed to be the solution to all my problems now felt like a symbol of everything I had lost along the way. "Remember, young ones," the monk said as we prepared to leave, "true magic is not in leaves or objects, but in a pure heart and the intention to do good. That is the true power that all of you possess." Walking back, May and I exchanged knowing glances. The connection that had strengthened between us in the clearing was palpable. "Wei," she said, her voice gentle, "that leaf. Do you still think we should keep it?" "No," I replied, feeling its weight in my pocket. "It taught me a lot, but now it's time to let it go. I want to live life without depending on desires, but to build my future based on actions that truly matter." That night, we decided to gather with the villagers to share what we had learned. The fire crackled in the central bonfire, and the stars shone brightly in the sky. People gathered, curious about our recent experiences. "Dear friends," I began, my voice steady, "May and I traveled to learn about true wisdom, and what we discovered is that happiness is not found in material desires, but in connection with others and in the act of serving. Detachment allows us to see the beauty of life as it is, and when we share, we find true fulfillment. May join me, and together we shared about the monk and his teachings. Reactions varied. Some people seemed skeptical, while others moved, nodded in agreement. But I knew the seeds of change had been planted. We don't need a magic leaf to transform our lives, I concluded. We only need each other and the genuine desire to do good. The night wore on, and as people began to disperse, I realized that true fulfillment is not about getting what we want, but about what we give. May and I looked at each other, and in that moment, we understood that we were exactly where we were meant to be, together, ready to face whatever came our way, with open hearts and peaceful souls. Now, let's take a brief reflection. The story shows us that no matter how tempting it may be to fulfill our material desires, true happiness does not lie in them, but in the connections we create with others, and in the simplicity of life. We discovered that love and friendship cannot be forced, and that true wealth is living with authenticity and gratitude for what we already have. And you? What did you think of this story? What lesson did you take from it? Leave your reflections in the comments and share how this story resonated with you. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you won't miss the upcoming videos. Check out our other videos. You'll be surprised by more beautiful stories filled with wisdom. Until the next video.